Hey everyone, welcome to MLSsoccer.com's exclusive interview with MLS Commissioner Don Garber. I'm Greg Lalas, editor-in-chief of MLSsoccer.com, and let's start with this explosion of soccer. And we've seen it through the World Cup, and it lasted all the way through when Germany got the victory at the end. Did it surprise you that this happened this year?
It did, pleasantly.
Yeah.
We all of us in the soccer business hope you have moments that continue to raise the water level for the sport. And MLS has got a lot of boats on that rising tide and have for many years. So the more buzz, the more interest, the more ubiquity, the more universal appeal and acceptance, the better it is for Major League Soccer. But I will say, and I think everybody in our business would agree, I never thought it would be quite like this.
Yeah.
Parties and viewing events across the country, the president watching on Air Force One. The country took a collective break and held their breath during those U.S. games, and that happened a little sooner than I thought it would.
And the ESPN ratings and the Univision ratings, of course, were through the roof as well.
The chart. The big front page story in the Sunday New York Times about Univision and Juan Carlos Rodriguez and all the things he did. ESPN did an absolutely unbelievable job as well. Great ratings in Canada. North American soccer continues to grow. CONCACAF's going to be bringing, with CONMEBOL, the Copa America to the U.S. in 2016. You have the Women's World Cup up in Canada next summer. We're going to try to bring the World Cup back here as quickly as we can. So a lot of great things going on in the sport.
What do you think it was about this World Cup in particular that saw this explosion? I mean,
because it's an inflection point, right? Okay. Every business has a moment where something clicks, and that click sort of creates a special sort of time check that happens, and then you get on to the next phase of your development. The iPhone with Apple and iTunes coming in and changing the way people will listen to music, and Spotify comes in and changes the way people share music, and all these things have behavioral impact. And I think what happened here is the U.S. team created some real excitement. Social media really clicked in. All those young people that love soccer are online, and they're communicating with each other via digital and social means. ESPN made this the most important thing that was going on their network over the summer. Univision doubled and tripled down in ways that made it the most important thing this summer for their network. All of a sudden you get a great goal from Josie, and the news of Landon not coming in, and just everything that happened. It all happened, inflection point. We need to ride that wave and try to kind of go up a couple of levels with the momentum that we're going to be handed or given post-World Cup.
So help us now make that connection, or that jump in the levels, because there were plenty of people that would say, well, the U.S. got into big events, the Olympics, that kind of thing. So how does it go from sort of the big event of the World Cup and soccer then to MLS in particular?
I hear all that Olympic stuff. There is no professional swimming league in the United States that I know of, and there's certainly no professional ongoing multi-market North American track and field league or skiing league that's embraced here in the United States. Very popular, obviously, in other parts of the world. MLS is here. Our national team, men's national team, plays 10 times a year. Our women's national team plays 10 times a year. So the sport's different. So I take all that, hey, it's the Olympics, and I put it off to the left, and I don't listen to or believe much of that. I mean, we've got to make the connection. We've got to connect the dots between those players we brought back, Clint and Michael, and re-signing Omar and Landon, and obviously Matt Beasler and Zuzi and so many others, and Cahill here in New York. And we've got to basically launch this thing going on behind me. It's here. That same sport you love is here in your home market, whether you live in the United States or Canada. High quality play. That game last night, 64,000 fans attending a game. Clint Dempsey coming and scoring a beautiful goal. Timbers Army basically large in CenturyLink Field. So all those things that you grew to love about the World Cup are right here in Major League Soccer in your local town. Go out and go to a game and watch a game on one of our broadcast partners.
Valeri, Adi, chest down, back to goal, over the top, Will Johnson! That is one of the most amazing goals
Was this World Cup in some ways a referendum on where MLS stands right now?
You know, the media made it one, for good or for bad. If we flamed out, MLS would have been blamed, and I think if we did well, I was surprised we got a little more credit than I anticipated we would. Jurgen played a majority, for the most part, MLS team. He used to do that for an out-of-cycle Gold Cup match, it was the MLS players. Well, now we're proud of those MLS players that are starring in the core of the spine of the U.S. men's national team. So I do believe that MLS has gotten a bit more bounce in a step and more acceptance from the sports media, from the general media, from the soccer aficionados than I anticipated. I really do.
Yes! His first regular season goal!
We saw some new stars emerge during this World Cup in particular. DeAndre Yedlin comes to mind. Obviously, Matt Beasler had a terrific tournament. Kyle Beckerman as well. Yeah. There are fans out there that will say, well, how does MLS keep a player like DeAndre Yedlin, a young, exciting player? Seattle Sounders are probably going to get offers. There are rumors out there already. How much do you put into, we need to keep these stars at home? Or is it, maybe we can sell them and plow that money back into the league?
You know, we have a dual role. You know, if we want to capitalize on the success of the national team, we're going to have to do some things that help grow the national team. And it's possible that DeAndre Yedlin, if he's playing at Man U or Real Madrid or Barcelona, not possible. If he's playing for one of those clubs, it's going to help his development probably more so than if he was going to be in Major League Soccer. But if he's going to play in a middling team in Europe and he's not going to play, and then we've seen that happen with a lot of promising young American players. I don't think that does anything for young players, does anything for our national team, doesn't do anything for Major League Soccer. So while Jurgen and I might disagree on this at times, my goal is to have the best possible league, and the way to do that is to be sure that people care about DeAndre Yedlin and want to grow up and be him.
Now, Yedlin, of course, as you mentioned, homegrown player. Academies are a big talking point around MLS right now, in particular as we see these young players. Where do you think the academies are doing enough at this point, number one? And number two, would you ever consider putting some sort of a minimum minute requirement for young players to start developing more?
Academies are getting better, more and more commitment, more and more activity, more and more success, more and more stories like DeAndre Yedlin, Fagundes in New England, just two great examples of that. Ultimately, while the league office and maybe our federation would like to have or would consider a minimum time commitment, the question is to whether is that the best way to ensure that we're developing young players the most effectively. Mexico had it, they don't have it any longer. Germany's talked about it early on, they don't have that today, yet they've done an incredible job with their golden generation national team that won the championship yesterday. I don't know that that's the silver bullet, Greg. Clearly, more commitment, more time, more minutes, more academy programs, more connections with the USL are all things that are going to be better for developing players.
Well, you mentioned that golden generation of German players, and 6, 7, maybe more of them or whatever are going to be coming to the United States very soon, and they're playing in the All-Star game. What is the opportunity for a club like Bayern when they come here, and what is the opportunity for MLS to face a club like this?
Well, you know, you think about, we haven't announced any of this yet, but I've been hearing that a good number of the fans' selection for the MLS All-Star team has a whole lot of U.S. men's national team players on it. And a whole lot of the German team has got a bunch of Bayern Munich players on it. So, you know, it's a great opportunity for us to profile players, make a connection with international soccer. Bayern Munich's obviously very hot, very successful. The sport's very sort of part of the important narrative of what's going on in soccer globally, both in the national team level and the club level and their league level. Good thing for everybody.
All right, well, thanks very much for joining us, Commissioner.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you. Thanks. That's it here for MLSsoccer.com. MLS Commissioner Don Garber. Talk to you later on.